Hello. I'm trying a different style of video. This is a little bit less edited and I guess more tutorial-y in like the kind of like lengthy sense. I'm mixing a instrumental for incognito mode and it's pretty basic, but I just thought I'd take you along with kind of my decisions. I am not using any corrective software for my headphones, so keep in mind that some of these decisions might be a little bit off because usually I'm like flattening the EQ curve of whatever I'm listening through, but you'll hear it sort of sound a bit weird. My name is Nick Rollo. I'm a producer and mixing engineer from Australia. Let's get into it. So incognito mode's like my lo-fi act, my lo-fi project, and right now it's got like 60k monthly listeners, doing like 300,000 streams a month kind of thing. So yeah, just kind of trying to release as much music as possible. So kind of the big section sounds like this. So it's feeling good. I am going to start this off just by running it through my master chain, like my mix bus chain, which is usually just for the mix, but for my instrumental music, this is the master as well. So I've actually been subbing out the Brainworks bus compressor with the SSL one. And basically, I'm just going to try and get this to like 2 dB gain reduction. That's a good starting point. Sometimes I'll swap out the Kive tape face for the U80 Studer tape just to kind of give a bit of vibe and jav. Alright, so the kick is triggering quite a lot of like loudness, so I'm going to deal with that with a bit of bus compression. I've already got the drum bus routed. So I'm just going to make this compress harder essentially. Nice. 2 dB is generally where I'm shooting for. I'm going to EQ out a bit of the low from the kick. Just do a bit of this. So it's still pretty crazy. Generally hotter than I'm trying to run. Let's get up the Studer. Tape is good because it's gonna also it's gonna do a bit of gain reduction kind of naturally with saturation, so you can kind of use it as like another tool of compression. Changes the tone. Like it feels a bit kind of fluffier almost, like it just changes the nature of the sound. But for this kind of music, I'm for it. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to turn up the hat and the snare and then turn it all down a little bit. Basically just to balance. Right now the kick's kind of like this and the rest is like this, so I just want it to feel a little bit more even in volume. Cool. And I will say, like, I'm kind of just I'm not going slowly right now. I'm trying to make decisions quickly. I also have this drum machine from the Rollo Cloud TR303, I think. Is that correct? 606. So I've just now routed it through the drum bus. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. It's not ultra like in your face. Maybe a bit of saturation. Just a bit of that, you know. Cool. Kick is still triggering a lot. For instrumental music, I always have my drums at the top of the session. And now I'm gonna tackle the bass. So like drums and bass is kind of the start of it all, right? Oh. So this is another Rollo Cloud. I recently got access to Rollo Cloud, so I'm playing around with all that. The SH101 sounds like this. Chorus adds so much. Sidechaining to the kick. Now just like cleaning it up a little bit. Nothing's really triggering my ears with how that sounds, so I'm just going to leave it for now. But yeah, it's really the relationship with the drums that we're looking for. Two dB gain reduction on the sidechain. It feels a bit loud though. Just for the fun of it, let's see how it sounds when I turn the sidechain up a little bit. So 4 now. Definitely has way more of a pulse on it. Yeah. I'm happy with that kind of like loosely, so I'm gonna check out this ARP now. Okay. So I've just kind of cleaned it up with the SSL. I haven't actually touched anything else. Maybe I'll try compressing it with this SSL just to see if I can get a bit more like punch from it. Sure. I'm gonna remove this EQ. I think maybe some kind of reverb might be nice here. Let's try. Maybe Valhalla Room will be good for this. Just to add a bit of ambience. I really like the dark spaces. Feels like it's in a room now. Might be a bit extreme, so I'm just going to drop it a little bit. And if you've made it this far in, like, hit like, drop a comment below, hit subscribe. Are you enjoying this style of content, which I again hope will be way less edited than usual, kind of letting the mistakes in. YouTube's super full of all of these high level edited videos, so I just thought maybe something that's a little bit more chill and you can just kind of put on and watch along. It's almost like a live stream but recorded. If you're enjoying it, comment below because that'll encourage me to do more. If you don't enjoy it, also comment below and say you don't like this type of video and I won't do it again. So yeah, this is before. This is kind of confusing because there is a delay from the Mini Freak. This is the Archeria Mini Freak. Maybe I'll just MFN. It has a delay on it, so it's kind of like all over the place, but this is before any processing. and width. It's pretty subtle, just adds a bit of something to it. And then we've got this thing. I'm kind of doing like a bit of a sin here, but I'm mixing kind of in solo, so I'm soloing all the elements. It's great to think of a mix as this cohesive picture, and you want to make decisions accordingly of the picture. Sometimes you can dive in and make decisions by themselves. Like it's probably better to look at the forest as opposed to the trees, but oh well. My thoughts with this is there's probably way too much low end rumble. I've got a pretty solid bass. I don't really want these chords to sort of take up that low space that the kick and the bass are taking up. So I'm just going to do some high passing and see how I feel. This could probably benefit from a bit of saturation. Just listen. Oh, there's noise. Not much, just a little bit, maybe like 50%. If anything, it'll just help the mid and highs stand out a little bit better. Okay, so thoughts right now. I want this like bell lead to trigger a delay, particularly when it does like the little kind of bubbly thing. I'm thinking the Brigade delay by Arturia might be cool for that. It's probably going to be a pretty subtle thing. I'm going to EQ a bit of the lows from it. I guess I'm just hoping that when those little things happen, it's just going to throw a few delays around that'll sound kind of cool. Yeah, we'll see. I'm going to set it and forget it. it does work. You can kind of hear it when it goes up high and does that bell thing that it kind of delays out a little bit, which makes sense. Next thing I'm kind of thinking about is maybe adding a bit of sidechain to these two synths, particularly the ARP, but less than I'm doing on the bass. 2 dB sounds good. Let's try it on this one as well. Like lo-fi and instrumental music, I think having like a pulse to the kick is quite nice. Sometimes it's a bit extreme for some genres, but for this kind of music, like also keep in mind, I'm being kind of lazy. Like for me, it's just about a good vibe, get it out. These mixes definitely don't have to be perfection. I'm gonna try and get them good, but I'm not gonna fuss over them as much as I would somebody else's song, essentially. But yeah, bit of sidechain compression. Let's do it. Let's go a bit more extreme on that. What is quite cool is when you have a limiter like this, you can actually sort of just visually see what's happening with the energy and the volume of the song. Right now, it's all sort of existing, right? I don't know. I think this will be in the shot. There's like a band, and then when the kick happens and the snare happens, there's these transients that are quite loud. So if you just look at this, there'll be sort of it hobbling along, and then the kick happens and it's doof, and then the snare happens doof. See what I mean? So that means that one, we can probably limit a little bit to close that gap, and we could probably turn down the kick and the snare or turn everything else up if we wanted a more even distribution of volume. I'm just going to try limiting and seeing how that feels. I want -10 to -8 in LUFS. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I think I might try turn down the drum slightly and just see how that kind of messes with the overall feel. Let's just try -1. So that actually feels pretty good. What you'll notice when you do that kind of movement is that you can kind of turn everything else up. Before, the limiting factor was the kick and the snare were quite loud. Everything else wasn't. So they were really standing above everything else. If you turn those down, it kind of, before, right, you've got like the kick and the drums and then everything else. So that's kind of like your limitation, volume-wise, at least to my kind of understanding and sort of opinion on things. That's the limitation. If you balance it, it becomes more even, so then you can kind of turn everything up. Whereas if you limited hard, the kick and the snare would have been the most affected. If you change that, then limit hard, everything is kind of slightly more even depending on how much you've moved it. So that's just something to keep in mind. This is feeling pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm just going to run it through. I'm just going to make sure everything, like the start and the end markers are good. Let's just try this. That feels good. And then just find a good ending. You just want to make sure it's clean. I'm also hearing quite a lot of noise from this Juno. I wonder if I can get rid of that. Not ultra familiar with all of these settings. I've only just really been playing with it. I'm sure somewhere on this there's a noise setting. Doesn't matter. We'll live with it. But yeah, so when the song ends, you just want to make sure that you're kind of intentionally cutting off the trails. That feels good. The Juno is kind of problematic, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bounce it out, transform to audio track. I'm going to render the inserts and do a 10-second tail and just let that run it out. So then I'll have control over that noise at the end and I guess the start. But yeah, that feels good. I'm going to bounce it out. I'm happy with that volume. Minus like 9-ish LOFs is pretty loud. Like Spotify will be fine with that. Yeah, I'm pretty chill with that. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, hit like, hit subscribe, comment below. If you'd like to see these kind of videos again, a little bit longer than my usual video, but a little bit less like edited, that's cool. Comment below, because this is quite enjoyable. It felt like I was kind of just narrating what I was doing as opposed to coming at it with a really, really clear idea in mind. I also feel like this will open the way for more in-depth dives of plugins and synths where I can just kind of sit down and say, hey, I'm going to just mess around with this for 20 minutes. So yeah, I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, let me know and I'll make some more. What else do I have to say? If you use Studio One, there's some free presets below. And if you want to learn how to mix vocals, I have a vocal mixing course. It's on sale right now for $10 US. Pretty good. Or you could just watch my videos and learn it either way. But yeah, catch you later. Have a good one. Goodbye.